It's a delight and privilege to catch up with Nilesh Thite. Nilesh is an educator who has worked extensively, across India and many other countries. He's worked with so many premier organizations such as IACLE, Bosch and Lomb, and also he's pioneered this whole thing called masterclass, which has been extremely popular. So it's such a privilege to catch up with you, Nilesh.
Thank you so much, Vinod, and likewise.
To start a conversation, I was just wondering, as someone who's been involved with education, what is success? What does success look like for you as an educator?
Wow, Vinod, I think you've hit a sixer on the first ball itself. It's a very thought-provoking and a challenging question, but I'm happy you asked this question. So if you ask me individually, success to me is if your students take your legacy forward. That's an important aspect of success. If they understand your intent and seeing your students or your mentees growing right in front of your eye, I think that is success. And selflessly, if you can feel happy that they have achieved more than you, I think that is true success to me as an educator, as a mentor.
No, I think that's great. But then, see, you actually worked, across many countries. So when it comes to what an educator does and expects with audiences, do you see a difference between what you do with audiences in India compared to other countries? I mean, is there a different approach?
I think so. I think Indians look at their mentors and educators slightly differently, probably from the others. We have a little different relationship with our educators. So it's a bit more formal. There's a bit of more reverence and respect when it comes to Indian students and audience, while internationally it is more about how you perform at that particular moment, what kind of content you deliver. So it is very, very, I would say, substance based when it comes to international audience, while in India there's a little bit of element of your relationship with the audience as well. So I think that's the main difference I have seen. See, apart from that, if you look at audiences across the world, information is very easy to get now. It's at the click of a mouse, right? So how you deliver that information is more important. What is your value addition? That is more important. So whether you make it exciting, whether you make it engaging, whether you make it thought-provoking, I think that's what people look up to.
But maybe taking that one step further, when you look at skill sets that they pick up, is there a different expectation when you deal with students from India and professional development compared to what you might do elsewhere? I mean, I know we have this discussion in all areas, whether it's IITs or anywhere. Your expectations are a bit different. So I was just trying to pick, what your experiences have been.
So my experience in terms of imparting skill set is more within India, but I have seen that they want very, very specific things at the end of your session, and many students unfortunately haven't got exposure to certain things, and I have seen very commonly the soft skills part of it, because hard skills are they're well trained in hard skills compared to soft skills. So their expectation is, let us know, how do I talk to a patient, right? How do I address a patient? How do I communicate with the patient? So I think that is one very specific requirement and endpoint that the students and the attendees look up to. That tell us, what do I do in practice in 1, 2, 3 very simple steps. So that's the endpoint they're looking at.
And then you dealt with people in all age groups. I mean, I guess most students you deal with are probably between 16, 17 and 22, 23.
Right.
But then you also do a lot of professional development, initiatives.
Right.
Is there a different approach when you deal with different audiences, different age groups?
Yes, there will be. There is a similarity as well as there's a difference in approach. So if you look at the difference, because the age group is so different, you need to understand their psyche and their thought process first, right? So today's youth is very different from when I was 16 or 17 years of age, right? They're more confident. They're not shy of asking questions. They want to be involved. They don't have stage fear. They don't have fear of approaching you. So you need to be at that level. And one important thing is your intent. They do sense your intent. If you go with the right intent, they appreciate that. They understand that. When it comes to a slightly older audience, I think they already have some experience, right? So that is sometimes good, and sometimes that comes across as a baggage. Because if you have an experience, it's difficult for you to listen to someone else. The first thing is, no, 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 but in my practice, I do it differently, right? So that's the main challenge. With students, it's a little different because they'll take what you're saying at the face value, while practitioners, you need to be more particular, you need to be very specific, you need to be giving them the right example of how it would work in practice, how successful people have implemented these particular things in their practice. So that's where you have to go when it comes to practitioners. It's more practice oriented for them.
Now, congratulations to you and Yashwant for your masterclass optometry. I think it's a great initiative. There's a lot of energy when you come to one of them. So I've been to the one in Pune.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just thinking. So I mean, what's your thought process when you put something like that together? I mean, why did you do it, and what's your thought process? When you actually implement something like that.
Yeah. So we started masterclass with a very, very specific idea and specific reasons. See, I generally do things when there is a gap. And Yashwant is also very similar to me. So we don't do things which are already existing. We look at the gap and we try to bridge the gap. So we realize that from a graduating student to a practitioner, there is a gap. So there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of skills, especially the softer skills. The graduates actually learn when they're in the practice. So the learning curve is quite high, right? And that's not acceptable actually. A graduating students must have certain skill set to be able to address the patients as well. And that is with that thought actually we started masterclass, that we try to bridge the gap. We shorten the learning curve of the graduating optoms so that they are practice ready sooner than later. That was the most important thought behind masterclass. So all our programs are actually assisting or helping these students to practice better and practice sooner.
Thank you so much. And my very final question is, I mean, I think a lot of educators might be, listening to this interview. So if there are, 3 dot points you want to share with them on what would be very important for them as an educator, what would those 3 things be?
Okay. Good one again, Vinod. I would say first is a little bit of thought process. So your intent and your preparation. So that's even before you actually approach the students, right? So go with the right intent that you want to give the best information, the best knowledge, the best skills to your students. And once you decide that you want to do that, then the preparation part. Spend a lot of time in preparation, and not just preparing content, but how to deliver the content. So that's what I do, and I'm just sharing my experience rather than preaching. Secondly, it's very easy to say that today's students are not interested in certain things, and there is a generation gap, and they're always glued to mobile phones, etc., etc. It's easy to complain and easy to pass on the blame. But I think as educators, we also have a responsibility to be at their wavelength and try to understand their psychology and deliver the education that is best suited to them. So if technology is what they're hooked onto, nobody stops us from using technology, right? So we can go to the same platform and make it easy for them to understand. That's another one. Thirdly, I think it has to be made a little bit fun and engaging, because I've seen students, they want to be involved. They're extremely creative and confident. So if you challenge them a little bit, if you provoke their thoughts and tell them, okay, let's create a group and we need to develop something to create awareness among public. And I've been doing that of late, and I'm getting phenomenal response. There are so many students who are just jumping onto the bandwagon, and they want to contribute. They're thinking, they're creating groups, they're creating, once they form groups, so they're brainstorming and they're coming up with some excellent material as well. So we have a power of youth, we have a power of students. I think we should use it, we should channel that by giving them right direction.
So thank you so much, Nilesh, for sharing some of your thoughts. I think what you're doing is excellent, and my very best is in everything you're planning for in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vinod. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope this is useful for at least some people, and it's worthwhile.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.